The ESL Pro League finals here in London at the O2. I've dragged someone out of the crowd right now. I was about to call you Tom. John or Tom?
Tom.
Tom, you look like a Tom. You look a little bit like Tom York in a way from Radiohead.
Yeah.
I thought so as well. So talk me through it. Just come around here. Let's just show you your shirt. You're a Fnatic fan. How do you feel about Fnatic's chances of winning the Pro League? Now they are an Olaf short.
I guess pretty good, but I guess without Olaf, they've lost a good player, I guess.
Okay, give me out of 10. Give me out of 10. What are their chances? Actually, let's do percentage. Out of 100%, what are the percentage chance of Fnatic winning the Pro League?
Like 80, I think.
80. Thank you, John, Tom, York. Thank you very much, buddy. Go take your seat again. You're the man. Thank you. A round of applause for John, Tom. Lauren, you're with me right now.
Oh, yeah.
Fnatic are obviously in the second semi-final. Without Olaf, how good a team are they?
Well, we've still seen that they can perform. It's not a matter of that, but you lose out on Olaf, you lose that big piece of what makes Fnatic, right? So, I don't know. Wenton's been playing pretty well. You know, he's been doing just fine. I just think maybe this is going to be pushing it a little far.
Call it. Call it.
What am I going to call?
Yeah, what are you going to call?
I don't know. Who do you want me to call?
I want you to call whoever you want to call. Let's not call anyone, because we're doing sort of a semi-sort of analysis here. We don't want to do that, because there's only one person who should be doing that, and that's the machine.
Cheers, OJ. I am indeed the machine.
What a throw.
Yeah, I like that. I'll be the machine for now. Fortunately, I will just direct and coordinate the analysis as we do prepare ourselves for Luminosity versus NiP. The players are warming up, and we should do the same and warm everyone up about just how spectacular this game could be. We've scraped the surface. We've suggested that these guys indeed are both winners in their own right, from the Swedish DreamHack Malmo, and of course the major over in Columbus. Now, they have to clash, and it is, of course, for a huge prize pool over a best of 3. And so let's just start where we need to go on. 2 coordinated teams. We talked about the similarity in styles. Is this then the style that all teams will start to mimic, or is there room for more than one?
I mean, we talked about a couple of times. Yes, NiP is playing much better, but it's not that they revolutionized the metagame of Counter-Strike. It's just that they're playing much more disciplined Counter-Strike, which allows them more room for mistakes, right? If you win a round against NiP, their economy is probably going to be so strong, you need to win 2 or 3 consecutive gun rounds in order to force them to go on an eco. And with threat in the coaching position, they're really good. They have a really good game plan. You could see how from the first gun round, they're sticking 2 steps ahead, applying pressure across the map, and then utilizing the reactions of the opposing team to, you know, be 1 step ahead of them all the time. And Luminosity, yes, similar in a sense. Luminosity started playing a much looser play style, you know, and similar to what Fnatic did in the Pro next year, and then they fall back to the strategies.
Is there room for that? You know, when you find so much success doing one thing, does it not kind of scare you a little bit to see a team changing it up?
I mean, I would say scare, but I mean, the thing is, it's just necessary. You can't just have only one plan in your wheelhouse. You know, you have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to have, you know, add new wrinkles, and it's kind of what we saw at Luminosity during that year, where they've kind of risen to prominence. Is that, you know, every step of the way they're adding something, and they get these new players. You know, they started out blowing up onto the scene with these strong, fast-paced executions. That's all they had. Then they became a more default-oriented team. Now they get these new players. They bring in the coach. They become much more structured, much more tactical. Now they're adding in this dominant double-op setup that is really hard to stop on when you're on the offense and you have to go up against it. So, I mean, it is just a constant adaptation, making sure their opponents can't read them coming into matches.
And that's, of course, what you had to say. We're going to hear what the players had to say coming into this matchup. We had an opportunity to stand and chat with some of the members of NiP and Luminosity coming into what will be a huge spectacle.
Our group stage was a bit hard, being able to come back like that. I think it's a very mental challenge to always believe that you can win those games. Just hitting our shots very good. So group stage was hard, but good for us.
If you're gonna take a look on our performance, I think it was not near close to our best performance. We need to do better on some finals, and I'm sure we can do it. So it's all about relaxing and sleeping some more.
We knew that coming into this year, we had to give everything to come back on top.
I think NiP versus LG is a match everybody's looking for right now, because they won Malmo and we won Major.
We're super excited to play in London. We're feeling very good, and we know that we can beat any team.
But we're going to do our best to take it away and go to the finals.
I think we're going to be able to come up top again.
Okay, so with that said, it does seem like NiP have grown a lot from that best-of-1 victory. It seems like they kind of wrote themselves out of that one, and a true test of how far they can be pushed. So all I saw was smiles and a whole lot of camaraderie at the end of that game. Surely that gives NiP a little bit of an edge, gentlemen. You come in after what should have been, I mean, it should have been a loss. You lost that pistol. You had to make the most ridiculous comeback. To have done that now, surely they're in a good place.
Yeah, I mean, I think
you're trying not to bash on liquid here. Is this what this is?
I'm just trying to recover still from the loss. It's still a little painful. But I mean, the teams of this quality with NiP and Luminosity, I don't think there's really a mental edge to be gained. I think these two teams are good enough. I think they're strong enough. They have enough experience, especially NiP, to be able to just know they're going up against one of the best teams and not drop the ball in any kind of mental regard. It's all going to be about the gameplay.
And of course, the gameplay has to go down on maps. Yanko, before we have a look at them, what's your thoughts coming into this 7-map pool? Where are they taking it?
I think NiP holds the reins for this map veto because Luminosity is forced to veto cash. It's what they've been doing, which is great for them because it tends to be NiP's strongest map. So NiP now has, they can do several things. They can go for a veto of Overpass, which is a map they don't play as much. It's a really strong map for Luminosity, but they might also go for an Inferno ban if they don't want to play that map at all. So depending on their veto, we're going to see what the picks are going to be. If Overpass is open, Luminosity will definitely go for that. If not, it's going to be Mirage from them. And then from the NiP's point of view, it's probably going to be either Dust 2 or Train. Maybe not Dust 2 because they had that close game against Liquid on it, but then again, Astralis beat Luminosity on it as well. So it's going to be, as I said, I think they're going to have the choice in that one. And when it comes to the decider, well, depending on all of that, maybe something like Cobble or some of the maps that haven't been picked in the first phase.
Well, let's take a look. This is going to be the veto for this best of 3. It's going to be tense between LG and NiP. And I mean, you're right. Taking cash away from NiP does seem like a done deal, and it has gone down, followed by an Inferno veto.
Yeah, the big question for Luminosity, they were wondering because they said we think NiP's going to expect us to pick Mirage. That's why we're going to take Overpass. I just talked to Zeus before this all went down. So that was the question, was whether that he was kind of pondering, is NiP going to pick Dust 2 or Train? So actually, now we've got, this Overpass Dust 2 combo, that's going to be a really, really good start to this, and then Cobble as the decider.
Overpass, Dust 2, and Cobble. The map pool that you feeling quite smug now, Yanko?
This is NiP vetoing Inferno because they don't want to risk maybe Luminosity picking it, but I don't think they would have picked it anyway. Would it be better for them if they vetoed Overpass? I think they would have had a better chance on Mirage, but still they're not out of Overpass. Well, NiP can play all maps in the pool. It just depends on their opponent and who they feel comfortable playing against on which map.
You predicted the Overpass. However, I do want to...
Just one interesting thing, that NiP decided to start as T on Overpass, because the team that picks the map, the opposing team picks the side. So, and LG decided to do the same on Dust 2. So both teams seem to want to start dictating the tempo of the game from the beginning.
Yeah, and this is actually, I like this these maps for this BO3, but I don't think that NiP, just starting on the T side, that just means you have to have something planned, that there's something in this defense that you saw that you think you can exploit, because you're starting on that side that is, much more difficult, generally speaking, especially going against Luminosity with that double op setup. We've seen it be effective on Overpass. So, you have to think that Threat has something in store for them to be able to counter that kind of a setup.
And people equally excited for this game, not only the crowd, not only us, but also the commentators. The people that are going to be guiding you through this matchup are standing by to let us know how they think this one's going to go down. What's going on down there, guys?
Oh, Overpass, Dust 2, Cobble. That's a pretty nuts map pool already.
It's going to be hype. It's definitely going to be a big one. Obviously, Luminosity getting a good start back on Overpass, but things are going to get pretty crazy after that one. They're getting some pretty good picks in there, too.
Yeah, just bringing it back to just the first map, we already saw Luminosity looking absolutely nuts on that. Cold Zera having a ridiculous game on it, and that guy said he was starting to feel really good as well, so if he's coming in confident already, this is kind of scary for NiP. But then again, these guys have been pushing that boundary higher and higher.
Also, you look at NiP as individuals, too. They've been looking a little bit better as of late, whereas Luminosity, especially back in the group stage, maybe not slipping off a little bit. We still have Fallen going off for quite a bit, but some of the other guys maybe not coming into the group stage as strong as they were expected.
Yeah, it was kind of weird not seeing them all turning up individually, and then suddenly that Fallen round where he got, I think it was the ace, where he got that random quick scope at the end on Inferno. It was just like, all right, welcome back, Fallen. It's nice to see you again. But going on to the next maps as well, Dust 2 coming up off the back of Overpass, how do we see this actually coming out now? I'm not too sure. Dust 2 is actually pretty good for both.
Yeah, Dust 2 should be interesting for Luminosity, playing a little bit, especially in the best of matches. Also the Veil of Mystery of Luminosity. Now they've done their prep for this sort of matchup, obviously, so they're going to be coming into that one as prepared, and not really having all that much experience in Dust 2 and previously, then that could be a little bit
then final map Cobble, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to expect on that, especially when you've got like these two teams who are like so tactically genius as well. Like Threat obviously being like the puppet master behind NiP at the moment. You're gonna have something sick coming into that one. Like I actually don't know where to predict this.
It's going to be a tough one. But what do you think? How do you think?
You're gonna make me do a prediction in front of everyone just for the judgment.
I'll give you mine too. I just want you to go first.
Oh, thanks. So just like set me off to the wolves. What do you guys
Just see
think?
how the-
Like who should I be backing? And Luminosity were like just back there, so I don't know if I like want to go against them, but then there's.
I'll tell you mine.
All right, go on. You go ahead. Before I
I
get
mean-
lynched.
Normally I'm a fan of LG, but on all honesty, I think this one is going to be NiP taking it.
Wow, you're going for NiP. Okay. If we get the Fallen that we saw during the groups, I think LG. If not, NiP. I'm gonna lay it down there. Like I've got a little way out in that one. There we go. I'm gonna hedge my bets, and while the crowd gets more and more rowdy, I can just like slowly escape the venue. I think that's the best thing to do, right? But no, like I think it's gonna be a great game. I think it comes down to those individuals finding that right level of performance to actually, push it to this map pool that it actually deserves. Because bearing in mind, like as said, this is the two teams who've won those recent events. You've had the Major, you had Malmo. And coming out of the groups, you've got to say that NiP looks a little stronger overall in this tournament, but still, I think we should maybe head back to Alex. I think we've got the crowd a little riled up. We've got some chants going out already, so that's enough from us. Thanks for checking in. Let's head back over to the desk.
Always a gentleman, Blue. Always a gentleman.
Pandering to the crowd, of course, like his big brother Moses.
I'm pretty sure 90% of this is because NiP is easier to chant than Luminosity. So I think
Do that again?
That was exactly what it was.
Do that again.
I mean, someone needs to get like a creative workshop going on how we can chant for the Brazilians easy. LG, maybe that could work.
Vamos.
No, I don't know.
LG works as well.
It's not my job, but let's go ahead and start talking about your predictions and some key players that we're going to be bringing into this one. You both were given an opportunity to choose one player from either side. I'll start with you, Janka. Who did you choose to highlight coming into this?
Yeah, I chose Forrest from NiP, mostly because he is the one who picks up the op, but also he's one of the best pistol players in the world. And for NiP to get their flow going, they need a good start. They need those pistol rounds. So I think it's going to be Forrest has to perform for them to have a pretty good start. And another interesting thing is that NiP has won 20 pistol rounds. We talk about their anti-force buys, right? How it's revolutionized their game. They've won 20 pistol rounds. They only lost the second round 2 times.
Oh,
so it's, if they win the pistol round, you can probably count on them having a good start to the game.
It's all about hanging on that pistol. And for Luminosity, who did you choose, Jason?
I chose Fur. And I mean, the obvious ones are going to be Fallen and Cold that you can always bring up. But Fur to me is like a really interesting star in this team just because before Cold joined, he was the man. He was the guy bringing the A game, bringing the damage for that squad, putting up the big numbers. And when Cold joined and had that surge forward and he became one of the strongest players through a stretch, Fur had to really kind of adjust. It's hard to go from being that superstar player, the guy whose name always comes up when you talk about a team, and then kind of get relegated to a little bit more of a backseat. But he's taken it in stride and he's actually adjusted. And I like it. And he's kind of a player to watch for me because against a team like NiP, they're going to struggle. They're going to go through some rough times, and that's where you need that secondary star to be able to step up. And I think Fur, if he can deliver in that capacity when they go through a rough time, have a couple big rounds for him, then all's going to be well.
And with that said, I'm going to ask you to wrap that into your prediction. We're only going to do it map by map. I don't want to go crazy, but I mean, Luminosity's choice. It is Overpass, the first map. Where are you taking this one, gents?
I'm going to take Luminosity in this first map. Okay. Actually, I think Overpass is just. It does worry me a little bit that NiP and Threat they're willing to start on the T side. That just tells me they have something prepared. But I still think this map is just so strong for Luminosity.
Definitely, I have to go with that one as well. Although I certainly hope that Luminosity plays better today, because if they play like they played in the group stages, I think that NiP can beat them even on Overpass. So expect better performance and the double op setup to do wonders on the CT side.
Okay, with that said, I'm going to ask well, I've heard what you have to say. I want to hear what everyone else has to say. That's what I'm actually interested in. So my question to you is who you think is going to be picking up this first map. We're asking you to direct all of those answers to hashtag ESL Pro League. Throw that at ESLCS. And I mean, how are you watching this? Are you here? Like, am I pointing at you right now? Let us know as well. Do be sure to throw us the tweet. Take a picture of anything here. Send it to us with the hashtag ESL Pro League at ESLCS. Not anything. In fact, no, don't take a picture of anything. Take a picture of a player or a trophy or something nice. Do that. Do that for me instead. You go ahead and do that, and we'll be looking up for scrolling through our hashtag while you do that. Right, let's meet the teams. It is time for Luminosity and NiP to meet the crowd.
these are the major champions. According to some, the best team in the world, which is kind of high. You want to give them that title, but it's also hard on the other hand because Fnatic isn't in their full force yet.
Well, and also they dropped Malmo, so it's hard to bestow that title after going out in group stages. But yeah, this team is just so incredibly strong and very, very well prepared. And I mean, you could just look at the confidence. Nicely done.
Let's go, Taco.
But yeah, this is such a scary team. You look at all the pieces on this team, and every single one of these players has had a tournament where they've shined and kind of helped this team through some strong matches.
And of course, they need an opponent, so it's time for the Ninjas in Pajamas to make their presence known. And of course, the Swedish Stars. They're looking to replicate the success they found in Malmo. And it seems, once again, it doesn't matter what soil they're on, it happened in Malmo with the Swedish crowd, and somehow they have romanced the UK crowd as well.
I mean, certainly close to a Swedish crowd in a sense that they have a lot of fans here as well chanting for them, and it's just great to see players like the players in NiP to play with confidence again, right? To again believe that they can be the best team in the world, and because it's been, you know, it's hard to say who deserves or not deserves anything, but for a team that has Forest, Get Right, Exist, Freiburg, the four of the players who were on that legendary run, 87-0 at the beginning of CSGO, not to win a trophy for a whole year, it is kind of wrong. And as I said, just great to see them rejuvenated and fighting with the top dogs again.
Indeed they are. I mean, two top dogs are about to clash. It is just the final moments, and so we will kind of grace them with our final thoughts. Luminosity versus NiP on Overpass. Just that T-side choice as well does get me a little overexcited as the Brazilians do take their huddle. Still haven't seen NiP adopt that. They have a very different approach to the warm-up.
Sweets.
Sit down, don't smile.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is actually a map where the start is going to be super important, because on one hand you have a really good T-sided team in NiP, especially when they win the pistol round, when they have a 3-0 start. The other hand, you have one of the best CT-side teams in the world with the double op setup in Luminosity. So whoever gets the early start, I feel that they're going to be able to take over the game.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to be a matter. It is going to be kind of a war of attrition at times, where you have to limit the economy of. I mean, NiP is going to have to do a very good job, even if they're losing rounds. Keep getting kills, 2 to 3 kills per round. You know, get those bomb plants. Be able to keep rebuying into that double op setup, and eventually whittle it away, take that away from them by force. So it is going to be a struggle, and also it'll be interesting to see, because, like you mentioned, Force does pick up the op. We've seen Pit pick up the op a couple times as well, but they don't have that, like, you know, they don't have that player you'd label as an opper. So I think actually going against these two ops that Luminosity will have on the CT side, I think it's going to have to be a tactical approach to being able to neutralize it.
And also, even though they are good oppers at times, they are not really playmakers with the op. Forest to an extent, but they are not a true opper in that sense.
They're not fallen and cold, is what we're saying here. Absolutely. And that will be the final point made then, because the Brazilians are finished. They're taking their seats, and so should you. Strap yourselves in, because the first game in this semi-final is about to go down. When we come back, NiP versus Luminosity begins on Overpass.
It's going to be an amazing matchup, of course, as Moses, and as we've already said quite a few times throughout the week, if we get this matchup, it's going to be the challenge between the two recent victors of some of the biggest tournaments we've seen as of late. NiP coming off of their victory back over at DreamHack Malmo, and of course Luminosity being the major champions after they finally achieved victory after this huge one-year climb, essentially going from the bottom of the scene all the way up to the tippity top, being the major champions.
And what a beautiful head-to-head clash here. And this is such a perfect map to start it out on. A stronghold for Luminosity for sure. It really plays into that style that you've grown to know from them, that double AWP play. It just sets them up so well. But then again, NiP have started to say they're quite strong on this map. I know they like it themselves, but I don't see that instant characteristic with them as I see with Luminosity. What do you think personally will take them into this matchup? Because I know Yanko said their T side is pretty proficient at this point.
I think when we look at the individualistics, specifically looking at NiP here, things are looking very strong right now. Like across the board, even in the group stage, I didn't really see any weak links. Even I think looking at that match versus Fnatic specifically, even Pitt stepped up, who had been someone who everybody's been questioning, like, okay, how's he going to perform on this roster? Now that he's jumping into it, but he went off in that game. He went absolutely crazy. So we're even seeing some great performances from him. And of course, the core four are back in their great shape, and they're not struggling whatsoever as of late.
And this is another factor I want to look into, is how Threat prepares for these games as well, because he is such a mastermind behind the scenes. Obviously, he sets it up for the players to take away, but he is just so good at doing that. And it's, how do you kind of read into Luminosity? This is a map they'll consistently play. It's not like it's been a new map for them in any way, shape, or form, so he's got plenty to look into on this one. But, you know, their form in that group stage is certainly in the back of my mind still. NiP looked extremely good. And then Luminosity, they look good at points, definitely, but it wasn't just that consistency that I started to estimate from them at this point.
If there was going to be any map, however, where Luminosity can get the edge to start off the set, it's going to be here on Overpass. This is the one where we've seen some really, really epic matchups in the past. Most notably, you go back to like Katowice when they played versus Navi here, and that was just an incredible map and showed like the determination of how far LG is willing to go to try and get a victory, especially here, the tactics clashing back and forth. NiP and specifically Threat is going to have to do a lot to try and challenge just that pure overall strategical strength here, regardless of how strong these individuals come into play from the Brazilian side.
Yeah, and actually speaking of Threat, when he was casting, actually, I think with DDK, at one point he was discussing how they approach coming to that double AWP mentality, that setup that they like to run. So there's always going to be something in plan. It's not like NiP are coming into this with, you know, a little bit of a surprise, going, oh, what a shocker, Fallen and coldzera are actually going to be AWPing, what a surprise. No, he will have a plan in mind. It's just the beauty of seeing how he's intended to come into that. So again, something to be looking forward to. But for NiP, you know, this is the big thing. So we saw a little bit of a questionable performance from some of Luminosity throughout the group stage, but you highlighted it already. Pith as well. Pith, however it likes to be called. He actually did tell me it was Pit, by the way. Yeah. So I'm going to stick with that for now. Apologies if I'm butchering it, but I'm pretty sure that's how he wants it said. The fact is that he had a monstrous game with the AWP as well, which was starting to become a little bit scary because, as you said, and I think the desk even probably hinted at, when he initially joined this lineup, everyone's like, is he going to be that fit? Can he really play that role? And now he's even starting to come towards the top of that scoreboard, starting to make these incredible impact plays. Everyone's attention is going to be on him in this game, and this is going to be a nice big stage for him to start getting his teeth really into, because he came out from, who was it in America he used to play for?
Winter Fox.
Yeah, so
was actually Luminosity, ironically.
Yeah, the odd thing there. Hopefully he's maybe still got a little t-shirt at the back. He can just like throw on if he loses. Like, don't worry guys, I was never with NiP. But no. But yeah, with this guy now coming in and actually starting to really step up, supporting Forrest, who became, I guess you could argue, primary AWPer at this point between that lineup. He's coming into his own. This means that NiP are looking extremely strong now.
That doesn't mean, however, the Luminosity aren't going to show up either with their own setup. We saw that last week in Austin, just how much that destroyed some of their North American opponents, most notably C9 when they went up against them, and that was like that 16-2 or 16-3 match on Mirage. That was the reason why it was so dominant, is because we had Fallen and Cold picking up the double up setup over on Mirage, and Cloud9 just never figured out how to counter it there because it was so stalwart, and they were almost never missing the connections on their shots. Now, that's where the individual performance can break it, though, is that if we don't see those guys connecting things with the AWP quite proficiently at the beginning of the matches, and let alone if they are even struggling to build up an economy to where they can even afford to do the double op setup, then we might be losing a lot of the strength from the CT side, because that's where we've been seeing it come into play as of late.
So, kind of turning our minds back to those group stages, because we did see Luminosity on Overpass, and I think that was against Optic, if I'm not mistaken, so that was one of the games we did actually manage to get a glimpse of, and for quite some time it was a very close game if you looked at the scoreboard, but then when you actually saw the rounds, it looked like Optic had kind of run out of steam of how to work out how to play against these guys. And I've got to say, though, coldzera, he generally kind of plays towards that B side. He was such an immovable object at some points. As soon as he got that double up as well, it became such an issue. If you're NiP coming into this blue, you know, I guess we can theory craft about it a little bit. How do you overcome that double up setup? Because it can't be too easy, because obviously if it's easy, everyone will be able to overrun it. But how do you get past it once Luminosity get to that point? Or do you have to hope to just never let their economy get that strong?
It's a very tough thing to overcome for the most part. Obviously, if you can start off strong on the T side and get to a point, especially if you're working against a CT team that really does not know how to manage the economy very well, you can do a great job if you start off with the first 4 or 5 rounds in your bank, and then you just shut them down. If you're doing some awkward things like just dropping the big guns there and forcing them to go for saves, where all of a sudden the economy becomes imbalanced and whatnot, that's going to be a great way to sort of get rid of things. But when you're in the actual matchup there too, actually just getting into the site as quickly as possible, I feel is going to be one of the best ways to get over that sort of thing. Because normally you're going to see those ops split up on either site pretty far away from each other. So if you could either have one of your own oppers go in and take the duel to take that down and then take control of the site, boxing the other opper out, or just take the site quickly enough to where those ops really cannot be as useful, that's going to be a good way to get rid of that pressure as quickly as possible.
Freiburg. He got there eventually. Forest was like, please don't do this to me just as the camera gets here. But no, he handled it well. It's okay. The NiP boys, that's how they warm up, just getting the fist bumps ready. But no, let's kind of turn our attention as well, because you started to mention the economy, that it is a factor. But actually, coming back to that, because we're ready, it looks like already the teams against us locked in for Overpass. It's going to be incredible to watch. The T side from NiP is something to be certainly not underestimated. Ladies and gents, I do believe we are live into the game. So here we go. Luminosity on the CT side, NiP on the T side. And Blue, what are we seeing so far?
And just in pajamas, starting things off on the T side, are going to start themselves off in the upper tunnels. For there, Pete comes out there. They spot FNX. Not going to be moving out too much just as of yet, but they do connect a little bit of damage onto this aggressive player from the CT side.
And Luminosity, incredibly aggressive at this point. 3 players push forward, almost trying to bait in. I think that was FNX who kind of like toyed with them a little bit. Sets up Fur to just destroy Forest, but can he make it out alive? Question certainly no. Pit's going to punish him. Fur goes down, and now Luminosity need to respond, and they're doing just fine. Falling back perfectly, resetting the fights, and allowing Fallen just to get into the right place.
Fallen held quite nicely inside of the connector. They're dropping another one, and this is great too because they get so aggressive. They're not going to be expecting the player to be over there around the corner, back by long. Taco picking up 2, back by the trash bin, and now there's 1 left alive. It's going to be Exist. He's taken down. FNX will close things out in the pistol, and Luminosity gain the lead.
And let's talk that through, because that was so beautifully played. That aggression at the start, almost baiting FNX a little bit, then saying, guys, just go for that challenge, let them walk up to Fountain, and that's where you saw the punish coming out.
It's interesting, right? Because you think NiP have the read on it, and the fact that they're not going out so quickly to take these duels out in the open. They're actually holding back. They want to watch for that early aggression. But finally, when they decide to creep outside of the upper tunnels, they don't realize that there's a player camping just around the corner outside of the playground there, and that gives them their first kill. Things just go to chaos from there. But when it comes to the 1v1s, Luminosity definitely end up on top. So they're going to gain the edge here.
All right, NiP going back in on the Tech 9 buy-up. No real surprise. And it's going to be FNX with 4 players to find this. The flash didn't work at all. FNX completely able to see this, so they push through. Nate does some great damage. FNX needs to be careful, but just a little bit of style points there towards Pit, leaving just 2 standing. Get right and Exist. They do recover at least 1 SMG for a couple of seconds, but FNX readjusts well, and now it's down to Exist again. Last man standing. He does have the armor, a nade, but FNX is looking for the ace here. He's already got 4. Will he get the 5th?
Trying to creep his way around now, but ultimately not a whole lot for him to find. He's been spotted back down by the bottom of long, and now with 6 HP. Good nade toss. Almost going to connect on FNX, but ultimately he will survive with just 4 HP. That'll take down Exist to end the round. That's going to be the ace from FNX, I do believe.
What a sick start from Luminosity. And look at this again, that flash put into play just didn't seem to do any difference at this point. Following nade did so much damage, it was just kind of a setup, and there's your style points just to add to it. So great stuff from Luminosity. They lost out, I think, on the 1 player who had the SMG anyway. There was a UMP as well, but the MP9 did get removed from Fur, but that's no real loss. And now the clean eco coming out from NiP. And I can imagine Fur's going to be hunting for this, joining maybe by Cold Zera, just to try and build up that bank.
And NiP giving them a lot of respect now here in the 3rd round, literally not investing into anything whatsoever. We're just going to be waiting for the first gun round this time, since they really haven't had a whole lot of luck with getting to the site at all, unfortunately. So we're looking for that first kill, and they just line right up. Someone's even trying to chase him there. Freiburg will be able to take him down with a triple tap on the Glock, and then FNX comes in, shuts things down on his own, finds the final 2 kills, and LG will get the clean 3-0 start.
Look at the money already building up. FNX on 7K, you've got people on 5 already, and this is certainly going to help out further with just the spray down. Of course, no armor on NiP in such a close sort of quarters area is going to pretty much equate to that. But this is the important one to keep your eyes on. How to now NiP approach this round. All rifles, good bit of utility there. We still see the SMG with Cold Zera as well, so maybe himself just looking towards getting that AWP going if he can possibly. An early smoke down towards the bathrooms, towards that short push towards A. And again, there will be some play from Fur and FNX to begin with. First gun on found Get Right, you can see the instant reaction trying to come out from NiP to try and pincer in, but Luminosity do the damage and try and get away. Bit does catch Fur in the heels, can't get the follow-up. Fallen is there, and now 4v3. This game is certainly getting off to a big start.
Luminosity sort of corralled inside of the B-bomb site for a second, but they do get out of here. Now FNX getting the sneaky peek there, manages to roll right out, shuts down Exist, and that's the bomb too. However, Forest finds the response. FNX leaves himself out in the open while trying to retreat, and he's going to find that tray now, leaving it in a 3-on-2 for Luminosity.
Taco, Forest going to be meeting up on long and Taco. Taco, you got to be hitting those shots. Don't get going on this one. All right, we're down to 2v2. Forest has brought this actually back into a position where we could see something interesting, but already with Cold Zero going on that flank, getting so much information, Fallen just lines up Forest and knocks him out. And now Freiburg left in the 1v2. He gets pinned to the wall, and that's the first big gun round going Luminosity's way. 4-0 now, 2 players left standing, still keeping that AWP in Fallen's hand. Gonna keep that economy nice and high.
Bit of a slip up there with Taco's play, but thankfully he's got plenty of cash in the bank. No trouble rebuying that at all. And Fur knows that NiP are going to be on an eco here, so he's going to be trying to stack up some cash now by going back to the SMG buy. Not a whole lot behind it either, so if he goes down, that's not a big loss at all. You can bet he's going to try to get aggressive and screw up whatever NiP will be throwing at LG this round. Looks like a pretty direct play over towards the B-bomb site.
And look how aggressive as well Luminosity are going. They're not just sitting back because they know they're probably on these Tech 9 buys. Fallen could get overrun here. This is actually pretty dangerous, but then again, it is Fallen, and he does have the AWP. It's just unleashing Fur from Underpass. He will get straight out in the end. Forrest's going to do a little bit of damage with that P250, and that's about all they're going to get here. Luminosity keep 4 alive, and NiP not quite able to get too much money nor overwhelm Fallen.
There's some great aggression coming out at the beginning of the round from Luminosity that's just absolutely decimating NiP's plans for the early round here. Unfortunately, because of how consistent it is from Luminosity too, they're not really giving it up so much. They're having trouble responding to it and actually finding a way to get themselves close to these sites, let alone get that bomb down, which I don't even know if we've even seen NiP find a plan as of yet. I don't think they've even gotten onto the site, really.
They've been pretty much stopped in their tracks, so Pit going to just drop out that molly, try and deny anyone pushing up close from short, allow those players who are working their way through the underpass area to try and get there safely, but there's the aggression again. Fur catches him with the pants down, drops out the nade, and look at the damage already. This is the full buy round. This is with all the mollies that they could want, and still starting off with even just a touch of a loss is such a deficit, but it looks like NiP are going to try and respond, try and get some bathroom control, as that double stack on long might get pressured.
So, as we take a look here at LG, they are starting to fall back a little bit. NiP have slowed down tremendously as well here. Everybody's sort of corralled right now inside of the connector and further back down by the fountain.
And I have to point out how much room Cold Zero has been able to get. He's been consistently pushing through this B area, constantly getting all the info. Like, guys, there's no oncoming monster. The worst that could happen is maybe they come up short. You know they're coming A. They can cheat those 3 players over towards A so early now.
So we're seeing NiP slowly shift themselves up over here towards long A, trying to push themselves out towards it now, but there's going to be a lot of resistance coming in from Luminosity if they do try to push. They've got Fallen out over here in long. FNX as well is ready to try and throw some aggression here too, but he's also ready to support back by the box. And we've got Fur pushed up, so this could be a rough one for NiP, unless they find these early entries in as well. They really only have smokes to get into the site. Beyond that, a couple mollies to try and force players out of positions, but not really anything beyond that too. So post plants are going to be a little bit rough if they actually get into the site.
Yeah, rough might be the understatement here. Look at these players. The FNX and Fur combo could just shred down NiP, and NiP are running this clock incredibly low, down to 20 seconds. Here comes the execute. There is FNX. Will they expect Fur? Geralt finds him. That's Fur gone. Now he's down to Fallen to just stop this where it starts. Dives through the smoke. Oh, Fallen! What a shot towards Forest. Now 2v2. And NiP have a good shot at this, but look at that time. 6 seconds left. Taco finds Exist, and Cold Zero just eradicates Get Right. And Luminosity, even under pressure, able to put so many players towards A so early on. They keep control of this, and there's the timeout coming in. I'm pretty sure they need to discuss this, but Fallen shot. This guy, look at the confidence he goes for in this. Just dives through the smoke, still finds Forest and almost gets away with his life. But by that point, he bought so much time for the others to get it.
Also, NiP running down the clock just so low at that point, too. The problem is that they don't really assign anybody to watch for the flank, so that just rolls right back up through connector because they don't have anybody back down closer to B to lurk or punish it. And with that, they're very easily able to just roll right back up and prevent them from planting the bomb once again, essentially.
And the irony being that if you look at Luminosity on their CT side, I'm pretty sure it's Taco who constantly makes his way either through Monster, pushes up quite aggressively, always put himself in those positions to get that early information, or he stop anyone playing out from that B site. So kind of, I guess, NiP just being corralled around, and unless they're able to deal with that aggression coming out from Luminosity, this is going to be a very rough ride. This is not the start we expected in any way, shape, or form. Considering this is NiP on the T side, this is normally where they're so good, they're so well played into this. But at the moment, Luminosity are reading them like a book.
And Luminosity as well just looks so dominant. We were talking about the question being if the individuals are going to be showing up here today, and we're already seeing that now. The very aggressive plays coming out from people like Fallen and whatnot, and they're not scared at all. They, like I said, they're staying there. They're trying to remain aggressive, even when they necessarily might not be the best guided play there. Even with Fallen pushing back out, he goes out, he only finds 1 kill, but that kill causes so much chaos and gets so much momentum going. It draws all the attention from what could have maybe stopped the flank that was coming back up from LG back down through connector and whatnot. He's not gone for that play. It's stuff like this which is giving LG the edge time after time again, and preventing NiP from really just getting anything done whatsoever. They do look like they're a bit of a mess right now on the T side.
Hopefully for them, they can discuss things through this time. If you're wondering why they're turning around, it's because Threat is just to their left. So they're just talking with Threat, trying to find out, okay, well, how do we fix this? How do we stop this? Do we just need to play a little more default, try and just stop them being able to push out aggressively, try and win some of these trades? They need to discuss it, because 6-0, it's not actually a bad scoreline at this point, but considering this is the semi-finals, this is where you want to start actually really pressuring people like Luminosity. It's not what you want to be seeing if you're an NiP fan. So for Luminosity there, they can just sit down and discuss, well, what would NiP do? What are they going to do coming into this? Do we still play the same? Do we get more aggressive? Do we sit super passively? They can still adapt themselves in this timeout.
I can imagine that we're going to see Luminosity maybe just chill out a little bit here, depending on what NiP decide to go for here after the pause does conclude. Because now with things maybe changing up drastically, they don't want to take a risk on being out in positions. NiP were playing things pretty predictably up to a certain point there. They would either just go directly up to set up for a site take, or they'd be hanging back waiting for that aggression to come in. The other problem too for NiP, which is just, I mean, it's fairly obvious, it's just the one-on-ones. They're not really winning any of them here. Every time we see that aggressive player peek out, NiP are caught off guard, and we either see a free kill coming out for Luminosity, or the guys just end up winning the 1v1 there. They're able to retreat, maybe a trade coming out, but most of the time they're still going to end up with a 1-2 man advantage, which is hurting their ability to get into these sites to begin with.
NiP, you better come up with something pretty darn impressive by this point. Because Luminosity already look like they mean business. This is not the Luminosity we saw in groups. This is aggressive. This is very much on point. Shots are hitting. We're seeing everything coming together. So now NiP, if they even considered maybe would get the team that we saw in the groups, they need to rethink that as well, because that is certainly not what we're going to come through. But then again, if you'd argue it, this would be Luminosity's map out of the two on paper. You'd argue that this is the one they should be winning. I think it's just not in this sort of landslide so far.
That's what's going to become the problem, right? Is if this just becomes an absolute shutdown in the favor of LG, then what form is NiP going to be looking like heading on to Dust 2? Because if these guys are feeling all discouraged and whatnot going on to Dust 2, it's going to be like, that's a map that can play to the individuals pretty heavily. Yeah. Especially since that's essentially how we see that map played all the time in North America. So if NiP are coming into this, or no, apologies, if LG are coming into that one feeling great and NiP are moving into that match just feeling awful because they get just destroyed here in map number 1, then it could end up being a quick 2-0 in the favor of Luminosity.
Which would be pretty tragic, if I'm honest, because these two are the recent champions of the bigger events just gone. You had, obviously, Malmo coming in, you had the majors, all these big events. These were the two defining champions. So if it is a landslide, it really is a questionable point for NiP. I'm hoping they come up with something good here. This is where I want to see the impact of Threat, because this guy has been doing wonders with this team. I think we're almost ready to get back into this one. The timeout, I think, has been working its way down. So yeah, this is where we see the impact. Can they come back into this with a nice adaptation that can maybe focus down Luminosity here? Because already that money's going to be pretty well set for Luminosity, so they can kind of suffer a couple of rounds, hopefully, for them, and still work their way back in if it does come down that way.
The good news is there have been some pretty good trades coming out in the favor of NiP here and there, so the money's not, 100% satisfied here for LG. Maybe making it through a round or two, but it's not anything absolutely crazy just as of yet. NiP, however, still struggling to, like I said, I still don't think we've seen a plan. Maybe we've had one or two, but I don't actually think we've had a single one come in as of yet. So considering that NiP's economy is in shambles still.
So the Tech-9 buy-up comes out, and NiP, you can hear the double nades down towards Underpass there. Just going to try and clear out the corners, and it looks like a bit of a pinch towards the B site. You do have coldzera pushed up pretty close. This crossfire is about to be tested, and it is going to be a bit of a 3-2 split coming up. Great flashes coming down, but it's still coldzera turns it in time. However, Freiburg and Forest do find the kills. That's Taco and coldzera gone. Finally, we might get a bomb plant. Third doesn't fancy that. We'll trade out in the end, but now down to a 3v2. Finally, NiP have the advantage, and Forest going to back away from the fire of flames and slow down the pace now. The bomb is still, though, lost on the site, so they need to recover that, and they're still falling and holding very close by.
Yeah, LG, though, very passive about it. They're not really trying to they're trying to actively move themselves in. Yeah, we do have a big flight coming in,
Exist. Oh, this is nuts. Exist is going like full man mode. If the timing is right and these two can slow him down, he'll be in the perfect spot for this. But timing is everything. Now Poland gives away the game. Pip's just going to get it first. And now Exist might not even need to do anything, but FNX hears him. He knows what's coming his way. Exist gets ruined. Now, 1v2. FNX, here's the shots from Pit. And actually, Pit's just caught him out. What on earth? Yeah, what were you doing in that 1v1? FNX is a really good shot at this. So there you go. Forest, a man of experience, not going to let that happen. Plays the time perfectly. And finally, NiP get one on the board. And it seems as though the crowd are pretty pleased with that. But again, there were some really questionable things. Then Pit just getting completely caught out on the reload after trying to bait in basically what happened. That's a little bit worrying to see. Hopefully he can calm himself down or just get over that, a little bit of a bump. But at the end of the day, NiP get one on the board. It was off the back of the Tech-9 play. Let's see if they can keep this up now, because it looks like Luminosity are going aggressive again.
So obviously, as we were mentioning before, LG still with a very strong start. They're going, no problem whatsoever, getting their buys right back into the mix. Scatter already out inside water, actually, too very aggressive with his own positioning. And not going to be able to meet anybody from LG just as of yet, as now they're giving NiP a little bit of respect here. They've fallen back to quite a large degree. This has gone away from that more aggressive style. They're still out. They're still ready to take some duels over at long A and short A push, but definitely not anywhere near as far pushed out as we've seen in previous rounds.
Yeah, and so far at least coldzera hasn't been able to wander through B and get all that information. The flashes are pushing Luminosity a little bit further back. Fallen can't hold these angles anymore, so he's been kind of pressured here a little bit. And this slower start from NiP might pay off until obviously one of the B players maybe pushes out or they start getting that read into it. We'll see how this goes. Fallen, certainly the point man at this, still quite far ahead. He could be isolated out here, but he is going to go for the challenge. This is kind of deadly. Pitt and Freiburg could be in trouble here if they walk out. Pitt's going to take the fight, and he is going to be punished indeed. Fallen going to back away. He does the damage. Just a bit of a drive-by. And now 5v4. Again, NiP going to have to operate at a loss.
Should have noted that the bomb was going down there too, which was the first peak. So now they have intel as to where that's been placed. Just going to be able to rotate in to try and counter out, I believe, a rotation going back down through the connector instead. But they're moving all the way back. They're giving up the A push completely. And if the guys from LG just want to push back out again, they're going to be able to spot that there's no presence here. So wrapping arm pretty quickly. Get Right's going to be joining them once again and moving in through construction. But this is definitely going to go into a very quick B hit. The good news is that it looks like Luminosity bid on this being still an A hit. So they're going to be pretty passive on this B site defense and should be able to get control of the site pretty easily.
You're absolutely spot on. It was passive, but now coldzera is playing on the edge of the smokes. That 9-second timer is now eradicated. The bomb has been planted. So this 5v4 actually might start working out. Forrest going to claim Fallen and now look for more. Freiburg just spraying him from short. Does catch a little bit of damage towards first. He's going to back away. And this retake is getting a little tough here, but finding Forrest is a great step in the right direction for Luminosity. As that bomb takes Freiburg, going to be holding his nerve. Exit's going to get flanked out. He can't do any more. That was the flank coming through in the end, and that's a real huge loss now. Now Freiburg has to spray in. He's not spraying the bomb. Taco's holding it down. It's 2 seconds, and there you have it. You get it in the end. And Luminosity will win the round.
If he's at the bomb with only 2 HP, that smoke blocking off construction ends up messing those guys up. And we even saw it too. He was going for the spray, had him down low, but just couldn't find that last final bullet. So Luminosity, they're going to respond right back to things here. NiP, unfortunately, they're going to have themselves reset.
A silver lining, I guess you can look towards for NiP is the fact we're going to finally see Forrest towards the AWP. That was such a disappointment of the round, but again, these are going so close at this point. The money's going to be kind of worrying, and then first time we're seeing Forrest on the AWP, we're also going to see Fallen and coldzera both going for double off, and there's the aggression. Forrest just about being babysat by Exist then. Fer gets eliminated, so now 4v4, looking at what we have here, the early aggression is finally being met by NiP towards Luminosity, and now Forrest hopefully can start getting some work done, but look at Fallen already, so aggressive on this AWP, looking at the opposition so actively. They're getting so much map control.
And with Fer also grabbing Pit too before he got traded out by Exist, that's done a lot of damage. Forrest and Exist very low right now. So NiP have to slow things down big time, moving out. They're watching for that aggression, and this is what the early rounds has caused, essentially. They cannot move with confidence quickly into one of these bomb sites. They have to take it extremely slow. And keep in mind that FNX is already lined up to go for a flank through the connector. If they don't have anybody watching that, this entire push could get destroyed.
And as soon as coldzera sees this, he's going to call for backup, and 6-shot from Forrest takes out coldzera. That's the site free. No one else is this close by. There's one waiting on the flank and 2 over by B. Rotate is coming in, but this shouldn't be a retake that Luminosity could pull off. They only have 1 flash to work with. They do have 2 kits. Freiburg is holding the push up here, so Freiburg's be the man to make first contact. He actually takes the fight. He does adjust the spray well enough to connect towards Taco. And the 2 players left might have to consider their options here because they are drastically outnumbered and no step towards the site now.
FNX still sitting back here too, and Fallen just trying to keep the illusion that he's still there so he can safely retreat back through the B site to get himself out. But they are giving this up. It's going to be another round for the NiP guys, as they'll be able to pick up a second. FNX chasing some exits, almost grabs one. They've gotten so close to picking up kills here. But it's going to be another one that doesn't look like it happens. And FNX, he's spotted, but just around the corner, he's able to escape for now. It doesn't look like they're actively chasing him down, so we'll be making it out of the round with the rifle and the AWP sitting on Fallen still.
It's pretty imperative they are actually able to keep hold of those guns. They can try and reinforce around it. We do have a couple of drops coming out. 7-2 now.
Crowd seems conflicted.
They do. Looking at what we've got actually brought up for Luminosity, it's actually not great. Even still with those couple of drops that came through, Fer is going to be operating at a severe deficit, down to only the CZ, a bit of utility to boot. But I wouldn't put it past these guys. Again, look at Fallen's aggression. He's doing this so consistently, and he's getting so much early information now.
So checking that out. Not going to be spotting anything as of yet. Fer also not catching anything down there through the lower tunnels, but making a lot of noise, so we can see the spray back coming in there. from Frygr at this point. And when in the meantime, the remaining members of NiP are taking a lot of control of long A here, pushing themselves out towards it. FNX is going to be trying to watch that, smoking it off for the time being to get some good control, but not any further intel here. All he can do is try to ask for some assistance coming in for the other Luminosity members.
Luminosity being a little humbled in this one. Again, probably the buy going to be equating towards that, and it looks like NiP are going to get ready for what might be a set piece towards A. Resist that, going to drop out the smoke. No one really working off the back of it, and still Fallen so desperate to find an opportunity here, but just missing out by a couple of seconds. But it is going to open up the opportunity again for a flank. So if Luminosity can hold on to that A site for a couple of seconds, just slow it down, this could be a very effective retake from the rest of the guys working their way from B. So let's see how Taco, Fur, and the others deal with it. That's a brilliant start. Fur just
flashback.
Yeah, right. It's so perfect, just buying so much time, making this hit towards the side disjointed, but Freiburg finally breaks the pattern. Fur is still going, but he's not the one to do the damage. It was coldzera, and it's still coldzera. 2 kills taking down Freiburg as well, leaving Forest in the 1v3, and this looks impossible as Fallen just sends Forest packing. And Luminosity just weathered the storm then, and sadly for NiP going in 1 by 1, those flashes just slowed them down so much.
NiP also took way too much time to dismantle that 2-man stack that was over by Semi as well. The first shot coming off, they don't check the short corner, and the player with the CZ just goes in there, picks up the first kill, and it's almost like they go back and forth for a few seconds there, continuing to draw the attention. They didn't really move whatsoever at all, so NiP taking so long to do that, and it just buys the time for the Cavalry to rotate back down from the B site, and then it's just chasing down the players that are trying to save from NiP. So nicely handled there by LG. Great shot to play up over on that site. However, this round, that's a good shot that comes out very early on. It's going to do some amazing damage to get right.
It does definitely send him a little bit, you know, further back now, being a little more cautious on 18 HP. To be fair, it was only Fallen doing that play that time, coldzera being the man to push out. So I guess pick your poison. Now, how do NiP approach this? They do a pit just on towards that P250. The others do have a very light rifle purchase, very limited amounts to work with in the way of smokes, mollies. And again, they have been pushing these guys back to the sites, but this time FNX wants to get a little more aggressive, which could cause even more problems. But Fallen can be sat on the site as well. So again, Luminosity not quite all that challenged just yet. Definitely taking their time here, just seeing what they're coming up against. And now Freiburg giving away a little bit of the game, then getting tagged up, and you can start seeing the damage really starting to accumulate on the NiP side.
So they've fallen back. They've once more given NiP the room to actually push up towards the site here. They've just slowly evolved over the half, getting less and less aggressive here, letting NiP figure out exactly how their strats are, but NiP still making very minimal progress at actually consistently finding their way into a site and then holding in the post-plant scenario as well. But they're going to rotate down through the connector. They're ready to go for a 3-2 split push here into the B-bomb site. Most of the pressure is going to be coming in through construction, but I think Forest is going to lead the charge. Sneaking in now, the first smoke's out. Taco's going to be trying to hold back over here by Toxic, picking up the first kill. Cold found 1-2, but Fur's going to get dropped. Taco finds one more before Freiburg trades him out, but then FNX right back into the mix here. Trades definitely favoring Luminosity, and Cold, back by the CT Cubby, is going to find the final frag.
One absolutely sick back line. Even after Taco did so much damage initially, seeing where that bomb was dropped on that final player before he got picked up by the couple of those splitting through short. Absolutely sublime stuff from Luminosity, and it looks like NiP might be running out a little bit of steam here. They're running that clock so low, but they're getting no opportunities to get those kind of favorable entries or any sort of beginning, and there you have it. Money's been absolutely broken down to 2 P250s, and already Luminosity want to go farming.
They're just now going back to full aggressive play here. NiP, well, they kind of expected at this point, so they're going to be trying to group up and hopefully just overwhelm at least 1 or 2 players here from Luminosity before the trades eventually just cause them to run out of players themselves. As they slowly creep their way back up, the problem is they've also got a flank getting ready to push against them too. Fur has already pushed up through the lower tunnels. There's going to be a bit of a run boost there. Catch has fallen off guard, and actually, I think he underestimated just how far Exist got jumped forward, so he's going to be able to drop the first kill against Fallen.
And now everyone else is actually pushed up. Fur is well out of position. They can work from the back lines here, which is exactly what they're going to do. And actually NiP going to turn their tail and look for more. Get Right has recovered the orb. There's the flash, and well, you're just going to be absolutely smashed if you go towards that, aren't you? Now, 4v3, can NiP do any more damage here? Roaming around as a pack, they do have that recovered orb, so that's a massive pickup for them.
What's a bit unfortunate here, though, for NiP is that if they pushed forward just a little bit more to check out the A-bomb site, they would have realized at the time of them finding that first kill that it was essentially an open site.
Yep.
And with them having 0 investment in this round, getting a plant would have been an absolutely huge deal. But now they have the op as well, and I feel like the main priority has shifted to, okay, let's try and keep this thing for the next round, or at the very least, find a couple kills with it, as they still have 40 seconds left on the clock. It doesn't look like Luminosity are being so aggressive anymore to move out and find those frags.
Yeah, and it's Get Right and his bodyguards at this point. Let's see how Get Right's AWPing's coming along. The two Hoppers actually got killed at the start, so down to 20 seconds here, pretty much. Garon checking up it, doesn't see anything, and there's the double stack coming out. Coldzera shows him how it's done. And now the two remaining players just might go for this one. Freiburg, all right, we've got a new Orpa. Why not make it 3 in the NiP boys line up? And if they get a plant, this would be actually really nice for them. They do get the bomb down, but I doubt that Orb's going to survive. No, it doesn't. And Exist now going to get overwhelmed by Fur and the two other players. So the defuse going to come out. Luminosity lose out on 2. They do drop the Orb. That can be picked back up on the double. And they get another round on the board. This is looking extremely decisive so far. At least in case of Luminosity's CT side and how well they're going to be playing, I think we have a very good answer.
At the end of the day, not a bad round for NiP there, considering the amount of damage they did, and as well as still fighting the plant there. But unfortunately, 10-2, those sort of like economical round victories where, yeah, you did some great damage. Those aren't really victories anymore, because LG just has such a huge lead. You need to start stacking up something on the board at this point, because what have they found beyond that? Not a whole lot as of yet. So NiP back onto the buy, no ops unfortunately, but 5 AKs out, they're going to catch them when they're tossing smokes down towards the connector. So there's one for free to start things off. Fur drops Freiburg. Now, again, NiP also have no progress to make up for this. They're going to jump in and get right in midair. It's shut down by Fur. Also, FNX taking another duel back by Long A2. He's going to try to go for one. A little bit less luck here, but falls back, and there we go. Gets the headshot onto Exist. He's still got 39 HP, and now he's falling safely back towards the site.
And they just can't win a single battle alone. Forrest desperately trying to find one, but he's left all alone here. 1v5, and one absolute shambles of a round for NiP. 1 by 1, losing out on the battles, and Luminosity not missing a shot at this point. These guys are looking so ready for this game. It was kind of scary when they were saying the Coldzera was feeling really warmed up. He was feeling like he was in that form that he previously hit. And maybe we're starting to see the rest of the guys starting to feel very, very good in this one. NiP looks so disheartened, and you can't really blame them at 11-2.
And this is just going to continue forward, too. We're on another eco for NiP. They do manage to get an AK into the hands of GetRight, but he's got no utility behind it, and this entire team just has no utility. They're already using it, and it's not even to get control of a halfway point. They're just using it to get themselves out of the tunnel. Here comes that aggressive push. Doesn't go as well as it has in previous rounds. They're going to be able to dink forest, but that's about it. Now Fallen though pushed up. Bit of an unfortunate timing on the swap over to a pistol, but now falling back, and I think he's going to look for some intel there about the panel.
Again, though, Luminosity, they haven't gone overly aggressive this time. They didn't push up too far. They were able to back away a little bit, of course, barring Fur. So if NiP can find a couple more kills here, they could maybe work towards a site, considering there really is only one man holding long, and that's FNX. He will at least get all the information now. Seeing Forest will give away a little bit of the game. You could probably assume there are others here. Now the 3 running players who are close by are going to try and get some control towards bathrooms, trying to working towards game, but you can already see Fallen. He's come back around, and with 57 seconds, Luminosity already starting to get a great picture of what NiP want to do here.
Pushing up now, FNX.
Oh, God.
Takes the charge, but again, they've got nades in hand in the back
timing.
there.
This could be the worst timing in the world, and it is. FNX finding Pit for completely free. The pop flash might allow a little bit of room to work for Freiburg, but no. If it's not one, it's going to be the other, and Fallen once more. Look at this man. Sheer aggression. Just cuts out Exist. And now GetRight tapping away desperately, trying to find an opportunity, but he's left again all alone, and they're just not getting into these sites.
1-on-3, no utility, and he doesn't even have bomb control right now. He's going to have to go back over here towards the bathroom to look to retrieve it. However, now LG, they've gotten aggressive again. They've pushed back out, and right around the corner here, Taco's waiting for him, taking that duel. Taco finishing off GetRight. That's going to be a 12th round for Luminosity.
And the thing is, at this sort of scoreline, a pistol win in the second half is pretty much going to secure you the victory. It's pretty dire. And again, these sort of dashes of aggression is what we started to see from Luminosity in the group stage. And look at this guy. And the one thing is, I've got to say as well, we haven't just seen Fallen stepping up. It's been everyone. Every single player is having a very, very competent game now. Not from the NiP side, from Luminosity. So now NiP do have enough money to force this one together with the Galil, and let's just go back in with everything you can. Try and find something that works. And Fur's relentless aggression here on long has been a consistent nuisance towards Luminosity. Excuse me, NiP, but this time he does actually back away from it, and NiP might be able to start out this round without a deficit.
On the sites too, there's that good sort of team play that we saw in that last round as well, sort of like the buddy system being utilized. One player's peeking out, we see Fallen picking up a couple of kills. One player's in a bit of a shaky situation, he's able to dive behind cover, then the other one peeks right back out and finishes off the job essentially. If you don't have that intel, it's not like this is a site that's already been explored previously by the T's. They don't know where these players in the CP side are positioned. The initial peek is still going to be such a huge surprise, and it's constantly throwing NiP off here. We saw that same thing, I think, quite a few rounds ago actually, when LG had a 2-man hold back by Semi on the A site, and they were able to do that same thing, trading back and forth, each player picking up a kill in sequence, and just eventually causing NiP to just run out of players because they don't have anybody left to take those duels to Song and dismantle in, and obviously the rotations arrived in time. So moving themselves back up through the connector now. The bomb itself being taken in the hands of Exist out towards long A. They're going to try an A hit once again, but again, not a whole lot. The map control being taken previously to this, so they don't know what exactly they're going to find on that site.
Well, there are 3 players waiting. FNX, Fire, and Fallen.
I think FNX as well just jumped up and he spotted this, so you can already see the third man rotating over from the tunnels. They're going to be up here. Good site control, or a good amount of smokes and coverage coming over the site, however.
But this is what we want to see. Do they finally check the fur? He's already been allowed to get away with 1 kill. Now Gerard's going to take the challenge. He will at least get it, but it's Trader again effectively in favor to Luminosity, and they are just strangle-holding down NiP here. This is an absolute travesty. I think Fallen just hit a jumping shot then, in case they needed more help. That, again, just highlights what we were seeing so consistently throughout that game. Great crossfires, great team play, and, well, Luminosity just eclipsing NiP here.
NiP just can't find the entries there. Not going to be able to pick anything up. So with that said, having an absolutely horrendous, I think it's safe to say, T-side half going into the CT side, what hope do they have at all of bouncing this back now? Going to have to win the pistol and essentially climb back from the bottom now. As you mentioned just a couple of rounds ago, as soon as LG take control of the pistol round and they don't have any issues with the second round force-up, then they've got the smash in their hands.
Not exactly how he wanted this first game to start here, especially for the NiP fans in the audience. This is a horrible thing to witness. Hopefully for them they can rebound. I don't know if this map has any chance of recovery for, but there are others coming. This was always Luminosity's favorite in this pool, but not to this extent. Welcome back, and in case you blinked and missed it, this game is looking incredibly one-sided so far, at least in the first map. Luminosity up a huge amount of rounds here against NiP.
That's a bit savage.
Brutal?
I mean, savage?
We're not gonna, it's too early, Blue, it's too early for that.
Maybe in the States.
Yeah, true. I'll cling to that one. It is, but, and it might be feeling a little early for Gerard there. He's looking a little disheartened, and you can't really blame him. What did they get, 2 rounds on the first half?
Yeah, 2 rounds, and honestly, not a whole lot of plants either. I think they hit at max. If we exclude the rounds they won, maybe like 2 or 3 plants beyond that. So not even really having trouble just closing out the rounds, just having trouble getting onto the site to begin with. LG were an absolute force to be reckoned with, and in terms of just dueling outside, especially over in the park area, back over by long and short A, there was such good trading going on there in the favor of LG that we never saw them really get past that area. And we saw a much smaller amount of B-Tims being attempted, but even then too, we saw a little bit more success being had by NiP. Just weren't able to actually get into the site without taking so much damage that eventually the retake power didn't come back in for LG. But now LG starts on the T side, and they are going to kick things off very quickly, already moving themselves into the B-bomb site. There's no presence from NiP, but this is good. They picked up the first 2 kills. Finally, some trades coming in the favor of LG as Fur finds lines wanting to exist, but still down to 3, and also Fur taking a lot of heat.
FNX in a really good position then until he got overrun by Forest. Now down to a 2v4. This is NiP playing retake perfectly, looking poised and ready to come back in. It looked like a no-fear play from Luminosity for a while, but instead of coldzera in a 1v3, he gets the first, tags up the second, but now taking damage left, right, and center. The defuse is coming out, and he can do nothing but watch. He actually takes down another, but just had to reload at the end of it. Jesus Christ, can you hit a shot, Freiburg? All right, no.
I like the human shield coming in there as well.
Just like meat shield.
Let's make sure there's no lucky headshots coming out of there to drop the bomb diffuser there. So NiP will control the pistol round, and now they have a chance, a very small one, but albeit a chance to crawl back into this matchup.
Chance, I think, is even a strong word at this point. 13-3, NiP. I don't know. All right, it's round by round from here on. The point is that they can't make any errors, forced or unforced at this point. It's incredibly hard to turn this around, especially when you're getting railed like that. Ouch. Freiburg not having the best of games yet, having to do that extended duel, let's call it, with coldzera now being kind of sent packing on 17 HP. Taco will... Oh god, he actually wallbanged him in the end. Really not the best start for Freiburg now.
What should be noted too, of course, is that Luminosity get that plan in that first round, so they're not really going very hard at all into the buy on this round. So the more kills they get, the better, because it's number 3 where we have to worry about them. And to drop any big rifles off of NiP this early on and not allow them to get recovered is going to be great. But NiP taking a bit of longer range duel. They're only finding 1 kill with it, now down to 5 HP. Timing again with the nades in hand. That's like the 3rd or 4th time we see that happen against NiP. They do trade things back out, still in a 3-on-3, however, but Forest is looking to fall back and kind of drive a wedge to slow down Luminosity at the very least.
What is going on? How NiP even allowed this to begin? Now he's going to be pressured down by 2. He does get the first, but trades it out. Luminosity are doing so much damage here. This is terrifying to watch. There we go. Finally, they take a good advantage with Get Right, coming over to deal with the problem that was going to be at A, that being Fur. Now it's Taco looking for a plant, basically, at this point. If he can bring this situation closer, brilliant, but now making it through towards B. No one's actually on upper too close out, so he will be able to sneak out and look for a bomb plant here. He knows that Exist is going to go for the challenge on this, but he's still getting a bomb plant as well. Taco has brought this down to a 1v2. He does have the SMG to hand. While Exist turned the flash, he did manage to take him down. So, NiP, bring it back. Get the round strung together, Get Right. Just by, waiting so Exist can make sure that there's nothing on the ground that they don't particularly need, or Exist, I think, looking maybe for the other rifle that was around here as well. So, again, Diffuse going to come in now. Exist going to be looking for the extreme rifle. Is there another rifle that was brought up at this point?
I think they only had 2 rifles.
Yeah, that's it.
Should be good.
So, okay, they're fine now. All right, there's nothing else on the plate.
I think just retrieving... yeah, there we go. He didn't have a kit, so just retrieving that. Any other utility that may have been dropped to the ground, too. A little bit good to pick that one back up. But that was not the round that NiP had to worry about. This one is. And look at the buy we see coming out from LG now because they get 2 buys in a row. It's a full buy. In fact, they're in a better buy than NiP is right now.
All right. Good luck, NiP. Pit's going to be working with less than ideal weaponry at this point. They do have enough utility, at least. Maybe not quite as good as Luminosity's either. So look at Luminosity holding the back line so far. Taking the time, wait and see if their aggression would NiP dare to go for that, or they're going to be slow, passive, cautious. And again, seeing Taco in that position, something that actually NiP were lacking on their T side. There's a lot of information gained by a player just being able to work their way through Luminosity on their CT side, and being able to get away with working out exactly what the T's were up to, them being NiP. So, into this round though, Forrest's going to go for a little bit of an information gathering mission here down towards A long. Really get to spot much out, as we saw earlier. Luminosity are playing very slow here, very tentative. Just being careful at this point. You can't really blame them.
I mean, they played very high pace, fast pace, I should say, on the pistol run there. So NiP are a little bit scared to think that they've already pushed themselves up and are now just waiting to see if NiP themselves want to get aggressive. And they haven't really. They've pushed out a little bit now just to try and gather some info because they absolutely have to, especially with nobody really pushing out past monster construction on B. But finally starting to push forward, and the lurker Taco back down over here towards B has already picked up the first kill. If they read them correctly, though, they should not really rotate off this as of yet, as this is still a pretty common thing to see. Is Taco just going down there and causing some havoc by monster? The positions back over here may catch LG off guard, but they're gonna have to move out and try to find a kill with it now. First duel goes by the way of Fur, and he's gonna look for seconds here too. Thankfully, Pit trades it back out, and that'll leave things in a 4-on-3. But then Get Right comes into play, overexposes himself, however, so Fallen trades back.
And with all these mollies, they can hit this side pretty quickly here, leaving these 2 players in a bit of a tricky situation. Pit and Freiburg have to position perfectly, and look at where that bomb is going. It is not towards A, it is on a mission. It's heading towards B. Taco has been taking strides towards this site from the start, so already has a great deal of information and control. So now NiP realize this, and with 7 seconds left, They go back for it. Freiburg now knows exactly what he's walking into, but will he guess the positions at this point? Pitt spots one out on the site, sees one towards short. Good work from Freiburg, takes the swing, but it just gets outdone. Taco dominates him, and there you go. Fallen will find Pitt, and again, Luminosity just wrapping NiP around their finger and sending them back again with another round on the board for Luminosity here.
When you consider now all the damage that has been done, going back to just that second round, of course, now the real question is, as we head into this next one, what kind of a buy are NiP gonna have too? Because they already saw them a little bit more weakened on that third round, and now coming into this one, what exactly do they have in their arsenal? And it's not a whole lot here. So Luminosity, unless they have any problems with this one, they may be taking control of this first map because we just have upgraded pistols and a single FAMAS sitting on Pitt.
And then NiP going to go for a bit of aggression here, try and get some presence towards the underpass area, try and get a bit of a stack of crossfire going to try and maybe get away one of these guns, get away a rifle if they can. But I love this approach from Luminosity, knowing they'll be probably against a very weakened NiP with maybe pistols, looking for maybe something like this. They take themselves down long, keep those rifles in a lovely position to do all that damage.
So creeping up now, LG going to play together as a three-man unit. They also have people posted back a lot too to sort of watch out for those aggressive pushes, especially down on the connector. Bird is sitting here waiting, not making a sound. Whereas in the meantime, the other three, they're just walking up to the A-bomb site. I doubt they're even going to be challenged by NiP, and then we're going to have a plan, and NiP's going to realize, all right, well, these positions didn't really go the way as planned. Grouping in now, we may have a little bit of a response coming in from Pitt over there, but it doesn't even look like he's watching out for it. So it falls back, but is caught on the flank. They had no one watching long A, and now they drop the rifle as well. That's probably the most important player, and he goes down without a fight.
My hands, my head's in my hands, and let alone how NiP are feeling at this. Exactly, it's a not like this, but not in the good way. As now Luminosity are just adding insult to injury, just nailing in those, hitting the nails to the coffin at this point. And finally, there's a bit of a resurgence. NiP wake up out of nowhere. Okay, Exist, welcome back. Don't do that. And now 3v2. Bomb is planted though, and Luminosity do have control of the site, and the HP is very low. Forest 3, Exist 19. They're going to go for this, so they have to. The clock is ticking. Now they don't have a kit. They need to back away. They need to save what they've got. This is going to be another one for Luminosity, getting onto 15. And NiP, so close yet so far at this point. Doing a little bit of damage on that little bit of a comeback, but Luminosity looking so dominant here.
It is a bit odd, though, that round turns into what it is, that it seemed like NiP were just going to be locked into the site without really anything at all, but somehow they managed to trade their way back into that. A little bit sloppy from LG, but shouldn't matter at this point in the game. 15-4, dominating NiP at this point, and now the buyout will come in once again from NiP, but LG have no trouble at all reinvesting themselves here into 4 rifles, along with the op.
And still no one on long for NiP at this point. This is seemingly an issue, as at the moment Luminosity are just stepping down long, taking control, doing that very slow start to deny any early aggression that NiP might bring out. This time though, a little bit of a stack. Probably not Freiburg up there after he got dinked down pretty early in this previous round. But I'd rather not actually Exist. You can go up there. And Fallen just slowly clearing through. Again, just checking for any aggression, see if there's anyone in these corners early on. Pitt's actually going to position himself down on long, and I think he's going to have some company with Forest soon. I love this play, just clinically clearing out all the usual spots, I guess, so that when they do, if they decide to breach on long, they have such early information, they can check all the remaining corners pretty well.
Now Forest pushing up now to support Pitt a little bit. The timing on this could work out great, because now the guys from Luminosity, they're ready to go in. Pitt taking it first duel, not going to be able to win it, however. Forest not really there to try and support it, tosses an 8 out, but that's about it. He's just going to fall back, let them have that kill. And Fur as well, taking some duels back by short 8. Not going to be able to line that up so well. Some damage going on to Forest, but there we go. Fur connecting the shot, finishing off Forest. 3 left alive from NiP to try and close this out.
And look at where Taco is. He's already starting to get towards B. They're starting to pincer in, close in everything here. The 2 remaining players from NiP are probably sweating bullets at this point. Existing Get Right can do nothing but watch, and already Get Right gets challenged, but he does at least win that duel against Coldzera. But now, where is the bomb? Heading towards B. Taco in such an advanced position. I don't think he heard the drop though. I think Exist can get down there pretty silently, so he can cause a huge issue, but Fallen even checking for it. Such great intuition, maybe a little bit of sound heard. And there you go, Get Right does claim Air for next, so maybe Exist can get something done here, but actually just about makes it towards the side. Catches Fallen on the way out, but it's Fallen to land the shot, leaving Get Right in a 1v3. He's done great deals of damage, but he's walking wounded at this point. And the USP is not gonna do it. Taco closes down on map 1, and Luminosity look back in absolutely brutal form.
What a masterclass performance, especially on that first half too. Things showing off a little bit there in the second half maybe, but when it comes to the 1v1s, when it comes to the team play on that CT side, LG could not be topped whatsoever. And you can see it from NiP now, especially coming off of a hot streak there in the group stage. They're not happy with the way things played out in map number 1.
You can't blame him at this point. That is going to be a little bit upsetting. There are a lot of opportunities, I guess you could argue, throughout that game that maybe we could have seen something more, but NiP just never seemed to get going. They seem to be constantly struggling throughout this. The money never quite playing into their favor either, and Luminosity just individually were so damn strong as well. It's so scary to watch. Every single player had their moments throughout this. FNX and Fur, brilliant performances individually. And sadly for NiP, none of them really got going. Even towards the late stages, you saw some resurgence, but it just wasn't enough.